Hello, you beautiful beings! Welcome to another Uncut video, and thank you all for the love that you have shown me and that you've shown the channel. We are building a beautiful community, and I'm so glad that you are all here, and I'm cozied up today on this Sunday for what I'm calling a popcorn uncut video, which means I'm gonna kind of jump around to different topics that you guys have requested. And yeah, I'm so excited for this opportunity to be able to speak with you all once again. So in no specific order, here are some things that were requested this week or that came to me to share with you. By the way, I send you all my love, and I hope your hearts are happy and you're feeling aligned and inspired. So, first and foremost, this week I read The Intention Experiment. I do read and review quite a bit of books. One of the interesting findings in this book is that a positive intention for another person assists them more, considerably more, than praying for an individual. And throughout the week, I was kind of contemplating why this might be. Now, the author of the book said that the studies on intention were probably just better designed than the studies on prayer. But I actually don't think that that's the explanation, or I don't think that's the whole explanation. I think that very often when we pray for a person, we are focused on the problem, you know? Like if we're praying for a sick person, or we're like, a lot of times we're asking God, oh, this person over there on the other, they're so, they're so sick, that person on the other side of town, please help them, please lift them from their sickness. And there's like a lot of focus. This is just one example, but I don't know, I was raised religiously, and there was a lot of like, let's pray for this person over here who's sick. And there's so, like, the maximal amount of energy is going towards the focus on the problem. And I have noticed in my own journey throughout life, that doesn't tend to help. So if right now, if you have a problem in your life, focusing on the problem doesn't really seem to help mitigate things. We do need to identify a problem for sure. But once we've identified what the problem is, what tends to help is literally any forward movement in terms of the mitigation of the problem. And this is where we get the placebo effect. Simply the decision or belief that we are doing something to improve a situation leads to results right away, even when nothing is actually happening. And so I feel like as beings, and this relates to another topic that was requested this week, which is the Scorpio North Node. As beings, we need to feel like we're moving toward some sort of progress. So the studies, right, showed that intention was more beneficial, putting a positive intention for another person. And I will say there's something huge to belief. It is definitely, I will say from my life, it's definitely possible to experience things that you don't believe in, okay? When I was really young, I did not have the belief in the spirit world that I have now, and I still had experiences. However, you're much more likely to have an experience if you believe that it can be. And so in many ways, I think when we intend something positive for another person, one difference is when we pray for someone, often we're not telling them, or we're not telling them the specifics of the prayer, versus when we're intending something for ourselves or for another, the specifics are usually mentioned. It's I see you better, I see that for you, but also when we intend something, there's a force or fire behind it. It's even if we're not aware that we're doing it, I think our cells are realigning towards that aim, versus actually this corresponds to a lot of the topics that were requested this week. Surrender is good. Some of you asked me to talk about surrender. However, our life is a co-creation with the divine. And I want to thank the guides. Thank you guides, thank you guides. Much of the insight I have comes from people's spirit guides. that come through in readings. And that was maybe at some point this past week, someone's spirit guides said that your life is a co-creation with the divine. And I think that's one of the higher metaphysical truths. Like, our life is a co-creation with the divine. Like, if we simply pray and say, God, fix this, I mean, that's good, but that's like half. Like, so what are you gonna do to like bring that about? You know what I mean? Like, I've noticed this same thing, like when working with the angels. Like, typically the way the angels help us, like, there are times where they simply will, they will remove something that's gonna harm us or things like that. But often they help us through, like, giving us inspired ideas or giving us more energy that we can utilize towards our goal, or bringing in someone who can teach us something that can help us, or these sorts of things. But I think, I don't know, I just feel like with intention, there's a movement that isn't there with prayer. And intention recognizes, I think, like a little bit of this magic factor, right? Like, it's like, okay, maybe I don't know specifically how it's gonna be that you're gonna get better, but like, together, let's intend that you will. You know, that you will be able to run that 5K race, even though right now you can't walk across the street or like whatever. And I feel like it creates movement. So I don't know, but that's just something I've been thinking a lot about. Because I think when I first heard the chapter on prayer, and it was like, there was pretty negative results, I was like, whoa, you know, because I do pray. I more so intend, though, I will say. I will definitely, most of what I do on behalf of other people is very clear, like for my clients specifically, very clear visualization. And I have found, like in people that have reported back to me positive effects, it tends to be when I imagined for that person and they joined me something very specific, and it tends to come about in very specific ways. And I don't think it's simply like no, I don't believe like just thinking something like makes it so. But I think when we can like clearly see something and we're intending it, we align our psychology, our physiology, our being with that. And even when we're not fully aware of it, we start to act in ways that bring it about. This is part of what I think is happening. Okay, focusing back on the topics. But yeah, because a lot of you asked me to talk about this idea of fate. And like, I know a lot of you are here because you like my messages on fate. You like the message, what is meant to be will be, and that is true. There exists in this reality fate and free will. So free will is what happens in the gaps between our fated experience. So we're here in a certain way. So there's a different amount of fate that each individual has planned in their life. So like some lives are like very, very, like there's a lot of planned activities, like there's like a lot of fate, and there's not a lot of space for a lot of free will in the gaps. This is part of why, like, I love YouTube, like I love this so much and I love sharing messages, but my work is probably more impactful on a one-on-one basis because each person's incarnation functions by slightly different rules, right? So there's people that have like these really fated incarnations, and there's not like a ton of space to like create and explore other endeavors with free will. But then there's people that are more here like for the experience, or they have a lot less like planned in, and there's a lot of room for like creative free will. But what I can say about what is meant to be is that those things which are a part of your plan will happen in every case. Now, I think where like a lot of us get off base is like we feel that something is meant to be. There's usually like two things taking place. So one thing that I've learned a lot about, like as a psychic, is time. And like, especially those who are more sensitive, more intuitive, we tend to feel things and feel possibilities. And sometimes it's way before they actually happen. Like we feel ourselves in a certain line of work, or we feel ourselves with a certain person, and then we're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And something I've noticed with myself and with other people is like, we often think that we're ready for an experience, and it's not that we're not ready, okay? It's not that we're not ready to take advantage of the experience, but it's that if we wait longer and we develop ourselves more and we gain more wisdom, we will better be able to harness the full benefit of the experience. And one thing I do know is that we correspond, occasionally I'll have memories of this, but we often, not every night, but very often, like when we go to sleep, we do meet with our guides. And sometimes they offer us the experience. They say, okay, during your daily life, you're praying over and over again for this new job. Here's what it's gonna look like when you get the job. Here's the challenges that you're gonna have. Do you wanna get a call tomorrow with the job offer? And after having actually seen the details, we say, actually, no. Actually, my human self isn't ready for that. Similar, so this happens with relationships a ton. It's like, okay, you're right. Actually, your soulmate is here. And, if you feel that your human self is ready, here's what it's gonna look like in the early days. Here are the challenges that you'll face. Here's the conflicts that you will experience. Would you like to begin that journey now? And we actually say, no. My human self needs more development. Please, instead, tomorrow, when I visit the bookstore, can you draw my attention to a specific book that'll help me gain the skills so that when we reach that moment of conflict together, I'm better prepared to move through it with the success of the relationship. So often we're choosing for ourselves. Now, our conscious mind doesn't know this. Well, now you do. Okay, but the conscious mind isn't usually aware, but we're choosing for ourselves more time between ourselves and the chosen experience. But the experiences that are chosen will play out in our life. And like I said, there's a huge variation. And some of you will know I stopped talking about certain topics on this channel, and part of the reason is because people were taking what I said and applying it across the board to every situation in ways that was harming them. And the truth of the matter is there's variation, and so we need the specific guidance that is for us. And this is part of the reason why I always refer you guys back to some of the best resources that we have to discern what the path is, like astrology, human design, numerology, these sorts of things which describe an individual's journey. Because that gives you a better idea of, okay, what specifically is the plan, right? What is part of my plan? But anyway, what is really meant to be, so what is meant to be is maybe part of what, this is probably not at all what you wanted me to say, I do understand that, but I've already said the other part, you know what I mean? So this is the part I haven't said, it's okay, so what is meant to be? What types of experiences are planned? Certainly, yes, the meeting of important soulmates, including now, I think the Disneyfication of life has made us believe that all of these will be amazing experiences. Sometimes we meet a soulmate and it feels frightening or other things because it evokes in us memories of experiences that we've had before with that individual or things like that. But anyway, important meetings with other people, they are planned and well coordinated by the spirit world such that each individual is ready at the time of the meeting. Those are professional opportunities and paths. So usually there may be a few rare exceptions, but most of the time the career path, and usually now anymore with the length of life, there's usually multiple career paths, but those are pretty well planned, and the specific people who okay, this person will interview you, they'll give you this offer, you'll struggle to choose this or this, and then you'll move to this city, and so plans are like that. So plans around career, those things are planned. Different individual souls work differently with guides, like I said, and there is a lot of variation. Some lives are 90% fated and planned, and some are closer to 40. I wouldn't say that I've seen a lot less than 40. That's probably, but that's people that are coming to me as a psychic. So I mean, yeah, so like there's some things that you can predict as a psychic because they're part of the plan. That's usually what you can predict. And then there's some things that are more like probabilities, because they're not like fully structured in the plan, but they're more like possibilities. So sometimes in life it's like, okay, you're going to marry this person, or this person will be a significant relationship. This will be your overall work. We're going to be working on this main lesson, which is honesty or whatever the virtue of the soul is. And in the space in between, here's some things that you might explore. Okay, you might explore volleyball, like quite, you know, like, and we could think like, what, you know, but like that could be of interest to the soul. That could be of interest, or knitting, or like you might, you know, you might decide to learn the Chinese language and study in China, or like something like that, right? So there's these things that are like, okay, because sometimes like we don't know specifically how engaged we're going to be with our life possibilities. Like, so this depends, again, like this depends on each individual's contracts, like with their spirit guides, and the performance in life on earth, because some souls are very well able, some souls are very conservative, like they are like, okay, I only want to take on like this and this because earth is hard, and then actually they get here, they're not engaged enough and they need more. And so there's the negotiation with the guides, and some of that happens, like I said, nightly during sleep. Some are overly ambitious. So the guides say, okay, I see you saying you want to do this, 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 and this. Let's put this, this, this as part of your plan, and this, and this, and this as possibilities. Okay, so like the guides know us better than we know ourselves, like in a certain sense. Certainly while we're here, they do. And you know, that's why they're here, to help us, and they know our performance in all prior lives and generally our future trajectory, and they've seen us in the spirit world. They've overseen us quite a bit and supported us on earth and sometimes in other realities too. And so they help us shape the experience. But all this just to say, when something is part of the plan, it happens. That's it, okay? But in terms of what is part of the plan and the amount that is part of the plan, there is variation with that. There is variation. And usually if we felt like something was supposed to happen and it didn't happen, it usually is our choice. We are usually pushing it away, even though we don't remember. And that doesn't mean it won't happen. Like, it will happen, but sometimes we ask to buy time. Please, can I have more time? I actually, like, I don't feel ready. Actually, I don't know that I'll succeed in that endeavor. Please, can I have more time? And the guides, sometimes they'll give us an experience anyway. Again, like, they know what we're ready for. And they tend to offer things up. This, being a guide, it's not the same as like being a parent, but I think of it as being similar. So they're assessing our level of readiness. And there are like some kids where if you're teaching them swimming, you just throw them in the pool. That's what my parents did with me. Am I the only one? First they did it with the life jacket on, and then after a couple times they took off the life jacket and just threw me in. And I did swim, you know. I have a lot of friends who, with their parents, went to swim class and learned like little by little, and at first you kind of like dip your head in. Now, in my own mind, like, I think of myself as someone who would have performed better under those circumstances. I'm getting chills now at this time. Like, in a swim class, I'm having another memory of another similar experience. Apparently I'm not. This makes sense. This is funny now. They're showing me my guides are showing me all these different visions of different moments in my life. So, but in my mind, I understand myself to be someone who's best nurtured, like a little by little, like that. This is how my readings happen, is I get these visions that convey a certain theme or message. So what they just showed me again was a coach that I had. I recently just started a new book on coaching. It's actually written for like sports coaches, but I think overall it's just helpful, like in how to nurture. But my gymnastics coach, Tina, when I was growing up, I mean, this was a moment, a defining moment in my life. It happened twice. But we were at this thing called this cartwheel-a-thon. and it was to raise money, and you would do like tons of cartwheels. Very dizzying, but very effective. Yes, I definitely think I raised a good amount of money. I mean, all of us girls did. But at that point, like I could do like a cartwheel, like a front walkover, back walkover, that's about it. And she pulled me aside and she said, right now, cartwheel with no hands, which is called an aerial. And I mean, just imagine cartwheel, no hands, like, and so I did it though. That's the thing. So that's the thing. So, but that's not, like if I could have designed my own experience to make me the best gymnast, I would not have designed that. But then I think about like my own psychic work as well. Like at the time I did, again, shout out to you, you know who you are, that my first astrology reading, no training whatsoever. And I said no at first. No, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not an astrologer. No, I won't. No. And the person kind of insisted, well, I have no expectations, but I want this from you. I feel it's right. Where are we at? Okay, like 9 minutes left. And I don't know. I was just like, I was like, okay, like I can't promise you anything, but here we go. And like this person insists to this day that it was the best, like this person is well versed in astrology and insists to this day it's the best astrology reading they ever had. At my first, like I don't use tarot a lot, but same exact thing happened. So instead of like going through a course or something like that, I had an office at a metaphysical shop at that time. And I was like an oracle reader because that's what I felt like, okay, I definitely can deliver this. Like angel cards, like Doreen Virtue, like I definitely know I can deliver this. So like, that's what I'll deliver. And, like one of the first readings I did, this woman just came in and she's like, okay, like I want the tarot, cardinal, grand cross, spread. You're gonna tell me my journey in this specific area of my life. And I was like, what? Like I've never held a tarot card in my life. Like I did not know, but I just did it. I was just like, okay, like, because like, I guess so anyway, like all this just to say, my guides brought me these experiences. Like my guides brought me Tina, the coach, the gymnastics coach, and like this strange woman. In my mind, I'm gonna name her Barbara. I don't know, but she seemed like a Barbara who demanded the tarot. And like, please don't do this to me, you guys. Like, oh my gosh. But like the guides so apparently they have assessed, like they see a level of me that I don't, and they have assessed throw in the pool is the best. So the guides actually do know how we learn best overall. Now, in a moment, like doesn't feel good to be thrown into the pool, for example. And often in the short term, the strategy that is used by the guides can be distressing, like, okay, but like they are able to see the journey as a whole and where it's gonna get us. So, oh God. I'm just like seeing all my life moments, like, oh my God. So I mean, yeah, I definitely progressed like way faster in gymnastics. The same thing happened with doing backflips too. It's like similar thing. But yeah, it was like, I was just doing like back handsprings and stuff, and I was like really doing them, you know, like we were really high and stuff like that. It was the same thing. Like this time, no hands, do it now. It's like, but the thing is, like I did it. So I don't know. I can't think of like a lot. Like there's gotta be times where like I've not done it but like I can't think of any offhand. I've just been thrown in a lot, so I guess that works. Please no more. Like I don't want that anymore. Like, oh my God. But anyway, I think that's how a lot of us feel. Like I don't really know what I'm saying, but here we go. That's the whole point. By the way, this whole video like this, it was the guides that told me this. I was like, I don't have a plan or topic for today. What should I do? And they're like, you don't need a topic. Just do it. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so bad, but it's so true. Like this is exactly how it always goes, like with the guides. Okay. So one of you asked me to speak about the art and joy of surrendering and the power of being present. There is no power except being present. That doesn't exist. All power that we have is derived from this present moment. If you are changing your life in any way, it's happening based on this moment. That's the only way. Every bit of our power is from being in the moment, not in the head, not in the past. Right now. Right now, you can take any action to yield results. That's available to you right now, but it comes from being right now. And we're better able to perform when we're present and aware. I think anybody who's engaged in any relationship knows this. Like, if you're there looking in the eyes of the other person, that's where everything flows from there. In terms of the art and joy of surrendering, well, this is where I was saying, like, life is a co-creation with the divine. So I think, like, if we're trying to achieve something, I mean, I'm thinking about my own work with my own guides. They do a lot to help me, there's no doubt, but same thing with the angels. But I think in life, when we're trying to achieve something, like, we should do what we can. But the joy is in acknowledging I've done my part, and then the joy is in, and now I surrender the rest to you. And even like with manifestation, like a big part of how that can be, that's a whole nother topic. That can be a whole uncut for sure. like a million uncuts. But there's that, there's the intention setting, and then there's the letting it go, like truly turning it over. And it's unclear like how much of that is like a necessity, because of, I do think there's a certain magic to belief. And I think part of it is because when we believe, we take actions aligned with the belief, partially. But I don't know, like, I do think there's something to like, how focusing on a problem too much is like actually taking us away from the positive results. So I do think there could be negative effects to negative thinking. Now, this isn't to like freak us out, because like sometimes our neurotransmitters are off, or like we're vitamin D deficient and like our thinking gets really negative. But just to say, like, in my own experience, like, I almost never see solutions if I'm just fixated on a problem. Like, typically identify the problem, maybe, like, usually I don't see the correct solution right away after identifying a problem. Like, that's almost never do I, because I'm still so focused on the problem. But then, like, I'll just get distance, leave it for a while, surrender it, and then the solution comes. So I just think, and that's where intention, like, I intend to solve this problem. That, I think, opens our mind and opens our whole being to solutions that can come in. Oh no, I don't have enough time. Scorpio North Node. So if your North Node is in Scorpio, focus on activating the house where it is in your chart by whole sign houses. But in all seriousness, North Node in Scorpio, it is just do it. It is ruled by Mars. It is not shying away from the darkness. This is not Taurus. This is not a life of luxury and money and love. Like, you may experience love, but it's gonna be like, woo, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be something else. This is like understanding that there's darkness here, there's challenge, but not turning away from it, turning towards it. North Node in Scorpio. There's beauty, there's art, there's wonderful things, but there's also an underground. You know what I mean? Like, I think beneath a lot of the wonderful castles, there's probably tunnels that go down to the depths. We're running out of time. I'm pretty sure this is gonna shut off soon, but I guess we could try and see what happens. See if it does. Dive into the depths. Because I think, like, we often understand the nodes in reference to their opposite. And so, like, if you're coming from past life in Taurus, you're coming from like cheese and wine and art and like luxurious clothes that feel so good on your body, and love and like the earth, nature, and all that's like really, really good. But what lies below that? So I feel like the North Node in Scorpio is like a call into the shadows. And it's like Taurus would be like, you know, the mind and like the inspired ideas, and Scorpio is like the subconscious mind, you know, and Taurus is the top of the earth, right? It's what we see, and Scorpio is everything that lies below it. I kind of think of like, I don't know, like fine like hotels and stuff like that, and like Taurus is like the lobby. But like, I used to work a long time ago in housekeeping at a hotel. There is an underground where all the laundry goes and the trash is. You know what I mean? And like the only reason that like okay, so this isn't like everywhere, but this is just like on Earth, right? Like we don't see it. Like if you live in a really nice community, like everything is in order, but like there is somewhere that all your trash goes and stuff like that. Like there is like a landfill and things like that. There are sewers beneath the streets, like at Disney World or stuff like that. So I feel like Scorpio is like, as it's like a call into balance. It's like asking the question, from what darkness is the luxury born? And that may sound like really morose, but like I think it can be like a super interesting journey, like to look into the shadows. And there's like a lot of positive ways to do that. Like, well, I think they're positive, like looking into mysteries, mysterious things, paranormal, psychology, like just not shying away from the darkness and harnessing the power of Mars rather than Venus. So you have a south node ruled by Venus and all the Venusian things, and that's great, but like what about Mars? You get what I mean? Like, and I think like the ultimate Mars archetype is like military and like a soldier. And like there's a power there that you can unlock, a power in your being on that path. But you're probably gonna see death and blood and gore, and there's a fight. But yeah, I think if you have North Node in Scorpio, like some action items, find some kind of something that physically challenges you and do it. You're not meant to be comfortable in luxury all the time. Like put yourself under some stress, like some positive stress. This is where people do like ice baths and like fasting, but like whatever it is for you, whatever your call is. Explore some kind of mystery or look behind what's beautiful and ask, what is the darkness that supports this beauty in some way, whatever way inspires you. I mean, that's enough. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot to ask anyone to do. So I think that's a little bit about North Node and Scorpio. I think I'm all caught up. Well, I have a lot of comments to respond to, but in terms of the ones I've seen so far and the specific requests, like, oh, what did you guys think? I mean, that's gonna be too broad of a question, but yeah, so here's my popcorn, no plan, uncut on a lovely Sunday. I cannot thank you enough for everyone who has taken time to watch this, especially until the end. This is a real joy for me, especially since I started doing them like this with my blankets and sitting on the floor. It just feels so like natural, you know? Like I do have chairs, but it's easier to talk honestly, like in an environment like this. It's just like completely uncut. So I feel like this is right for me. My North Node is Pisces, so just letting go of the need for perfection and just trusting, you know? So I'm trying to do that, and thank you for going on this journey with me. So blessings upon blessings. What will your positive intention be? What are you intending? What is the good you're intending for yourself? What is the good you're intending for others? Let's intend something that we believe can happen that is good. Okay? Okay, I am intending that this video will find its way